I still work out in my head, ladies and gentlemen. What is the perfect sound of a gate? Can I make that noise? Since we all know I like to make those silly sound effect noises, but a gate's still kind of a tough one for me. So maybe over the next little while, I'll see if I can provide you that on our Friday shows as we swing open the gateway to the weekend for you. On the program, Michael Feir tells us all about the many entertainment possibilities found through your smartphone that he writes all about in his brand new guide to how to use your iPhone. Boy, and I used to think George Foreman grills and air conditioning were the greatest gift that God could give us. However, ladies and gentlemen, I think he's outdone himself with the creation of the iPhone and accessibility.
This is Kelly and Company.
Kelly MacDonald hanging out with you on a Friday, getting you set up for your weekend. Appreciate wherever you are checking out the show, you being with us. Nazreen Abdul-Majid also being here and hanging out over there in the corner, waiting to bow in and have some good conversations with us before we bring Parasport Nation on, is Brock Richardson. Now, remember, this guy's the host of the Neutral Zone podcast, joins us every couple of weeks on the show. Brock, Nazreen, welcome back.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, for sure. And I know we're going to get into this with Michael in a little bit, but when it comes to smartphones, I'm not just going to hold it to the iPhone because we all have our smartphones of choice, but has that been one of the greatest things you'd say that's ever created since of everything you can do with it, whatever your favorite phone is, and whatever accessibility, Nazreen, that you might need?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. There's obviously disadvantages to everything, but I'd say there's more pros than cons. How about you, Brock?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I was talking with somebody not too long ago about remembering the T9 text messaging when I was younger, and that was when you had to like push every key multiple times.
Yes.
And then when I got the ability to do like voice to text, it was like, oh my goodness. Now, voice to text is not always perfect, but it's better than the T9 texting.
I was just going to say it was more perfect than you clink, 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 plucking along there. I know, because I know when there wasn't any audio for me and I had to try doing that, which I never did. I just said, no way. I obviously knew from other applications, spelling out stuff. I was one of those kids that used to love winning stuff off the radio. And when radio stations would give their phone number, they'd always try to incorporate at one time their cell thing. If they were such and such rock of whatever, you'd call, 519-438 rock or something like that, and it would be, oh yeah, okay, that's the station, so you'd remember it. So then you'd have to go through your keys on a phone, where's the R, and add it all up. So I thought that was always a way. So I'd learned that, but when I learned you had to pluck away like that to do a text message, I just said, no, that's not for me. Now, one of the interesting things, Nazreen, that's happening right now is they're saying that when people go for job interviews, they have a hard time leaving their smartphones alone. They're looking down, they're peeking at it, and I don't know if that's such a because of habit or like, is it just, well, that's what we do. I mean, I've been at meetings and I'm hearing people's phones just make little noises because they saw, and I know
what you should do.
They're looking.
Yeah. It's definitely a bad impression. I mean, forget about job interviews. I think just having a one-on-one conversation with someone, if somebody picks up their phone and starts scrolling, I immediately think that they're just not interested in the conversation. It's rude. It's, just proper etiquette that you should follow. So when it comes to job interviews, you should be extra professional, extra on top of your game. And the fact that people are still, I've seen so many videos of people doing job interviews on Zoom and they just have their phone to the side, just scrolling through. And I was like, how can you multitask like that and make a good impression? That is not doable. Like, there is definitely a possibility that this person that is interviewing you knows. They know.
Especially if they're not from that world where you do that, especially younger people coming in to do their interview. You're fresh out of school. Brock, is it possibly just such a habit? I used to always check my watch. I could check my watch and you could say to me 10 seconds after, what time is it? Oh, and I went back to checking it again. It was just almost like a nervous habit that I did all the time.
I think it's just habit, and we get bored so quickly now. And so because the phone is so readily accessible in the palm of our hands, we just go, oh, this is here, so I can scroll. And then 10 minutes goes by, 20 minutes goes by, couple of hours goes by, and then you look up and you go, what did I just do? But I do think it's habit,
Yeah.
totally.
I do that a lot when my phone dies, and I just keep picking up my phone just to check something, and I forget that it's dead. And
Somehow
I'm
it's
like,
going to
oh my
charge.
God, I actually have a problem.
Somehow it's going to go from 0
That's when you
bars
know.
to
Yeah.
100. Oh my goodness. Folks, you can email us if you want to keep in the conversation with us or just have thoughts, anything you'd like to say. kellyco@ami.ca. Also, give us a call. We'd love to hear your voice and maybe play it on the show. 1-866-509-4545.
Airports can be stressful places for anyone, and for people with disabilities, navigating a terminal can often present unexpected challenges. Fortunately, some organizations are working hard to change that. The Winnipeg Airport Authority is taking meaningful steps to create a more accessible and inclusive experience for all of their passengers. Joining us today to share what's being done is Julie Capko from the Winnipeg Airport Authority. Julie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
To start us off, can you give us a quick overview of the Winnipeg Airport Authority's recent accessibility initiatives?
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be very brief because we do a lot and we're doing a lot at a very fast rate. But I can tell you that this year we focused on audio. And so what we did is we put hearing loops on all of our check-in counters on our departures area. That is 34 loops. So that was quite a big project. We also outfitted our information booth and our valet desks. Next, we will be outfitting our counters on the gate side, which will be 22 hearing loops, so that we can ensure that we are bridging those audio gaps for all of our passengers.
Mm.
And with these changes, was there a particular moment or feedback that sparked the focus on accessibility and then ultimately made these changes happen?
Well, at Winnipeg, we were having these conversations for a while, talking about what we should be doing and how we could be improving the terminal. But like many things, the Canadian Transportation Agency introduced regulations around accessibility, and that's the moment when they took those maybe ideas and turned them into reality.
That's great. What are some specific features or services you've introduced to make the terminal more accessible? For example, for travelers with mobility challenges, vision loss, or neurodiverse needs?
So we've done so much in the last 2 years, but the programs I really wanted to highlight are unique to Winnipeg. One of them is called the passenger rehearsal. We actually allow our passengers to come through and experience everything from the check-in to the gate. This was created for the community of autism. However, since the launch of the program, we have seen a variety of people come in, from seniors who are just nervous to service dogs who need training through that process. So we take them through the process. And of course, we have seen a lot of autistic or neurodiverse passengers take advantage of that program. But what's really great is that we walk through the terminal with them, and at the same time, we get to learn from them and see where their challenges are firsthand, which allows us to make informed decision making later. We also have sensory support kits that are available at our information booth. They're free. We don't want them back. We do understand that even something as simple as, soundless headsets or something that's comforting can change the entire experience for our passengers. So we're looking at our accessibility initiatives and features with heart, and we're looking at it as a compassionate base, like not just for accessibility, but how can we improve the experience for all?
That lived experience and going through the airport with people that actually are going through it, it's got to help the training of staff and the understanding of how they're going to do things. In that light, we know that accessibility can go beyond the physical infrastructure of the airport itself. How is the airport training its staff to be better serving individuals with disabilities?
This is my favorite question because I think training is the absolute foundation of accessibility. But I am happy to say that the Canadian airports actually came together and we created an online version of accessibility, which would include, terminology, some practices. There's some scenario based in there, but that's an online function. I like to think that that's like an introduction to what is accessibility and what are our expectations. At the WAA, we go beyond that and we created best practices. So we get our customer service staff in the room and we talk about scenarios. And sometimes what's important is to understand that, yes, you may be nervous because this is all so very new to you, but hearing that other people are going through those same struggles and those same nervousness helps. In those best practices, we have a wheelchair in the room and we literally have them help somebody into the chair. What are those functions? We have exercises for empathy and compassion, again, looking for those things, so proactive approach. But most importantly, at the WAA, we have established a default service. So we want to be proactive. We don't want our passengers to always have to come to us and ask for help.
Yeah.
So now we look for it. And so if I see somebody that might need help, I will approach them and ask them, do you need help? Or do you need service? Do you need assistance? If they say yes, then we follow up with how. How can I assist you? So there's no more of those assumptions, no more of that, tension. And the passenger may even just say, can you just help me with my suitcase? And that's it. And then we just kind of go about it. So that's a default answer that everyone goes through. And it's really helped us to build that relationship with our passengers.
I absolutely love that, just because I get really frustrated just having to be the person that goes up and asks for help with anything that I need. But moving on to technology, technology often plays a big role in accessibility, obviously, when we were talking at the top of the show. Are there any apps or digital tools you're using to support passengers?
Absolutely. We are also very aware that things change very rapidly, so we're constantly looking for those things. But currently, we are an ERA-enabled location, and so that's not just the terminal building. That includes the hotels and the parking. So we are campus-wide. So if you're not familiar with AREA, it helps with the feeds, the menus, all of those things. So we're happy to be partnered with them. We also use Magnus Mode for for the community of autism to go through the step-by-steps of what they need to do to get through the terminal. And currently we're looking for an app that will help us supplement our ASL needs and perhaps help us a little bit more with our PA announcements. Everyone seems to struggle when it comes to a PA that's coming through the terminal. And so we recognize that, it's not just those passengers that need them, but everyone could use a service where you can actually hear what's being said.
I can never hear the PA announcements, that's for sure. It's always a struggle.
With all of this that we're talking about, how are you measuring success? Are you specifically relying on feedback you might get from passengers with disabilities of different kinds?
We measure our successes in several different ways, but the most important way is we actually partner up with an accessibility committee. So we have partners with, organizations across the city. So Manitoba Possible, CNIB, so we have about 12 members. We meet once a month and they share with us what their communities will say, or they'll share, experiences that they've heard. And so we definitely take that feedback. They also come in and do tours with us, or they'll come do a walkthrough and share where they have those challenges. So that's one way. But we also have a Wi-Fi survey where we have a couple of accessibility questions on there, but most importantly, we have a rating. So we will ask our passengers to rate the accessibility of the terminal. And so far we've been able to keep it like an 8.5, but we want to excel a little bit better than that. But we do a real rounded way of collecting feedback. We are constantly looking for that, how do we continue to measure those successes? Even every program has a reporting system, so we can actually measure how each program is doing individually.
What advice would you give to other airports like Toronto Pearson, for example, or travel hubs looking to improve accessibility?
Start small, but start.
Yeah.
It can be very overwhelming, especially when you're looking at the regulations. The regulations are very much built like a checklist, so it is very easy to fall into that, like, check, check, check. We've got those things, so we're accessible now, right? So always understand that accessibility is always evolving. It is never done. It will never be something that it's like, good, we're accessible now. Like, that's just not how the reality is of how accessibility works. And just know that every step that you take toward the more accessible terminal helps everyone.
I love the fact that you said that accessibility doesn't just stop, because I think a lot of times people can look at it and say, okay, we're done now, and it doesn't work that way. So I'm happy to hear you say that. You've talked about a lot about what's next and what's going to be happening moving forward. Is there anything we may have missed that you want to touch on in closing, just in the last minute or so?
Yeah, I do just want to touch base that the Canadian airports are actually aligning their initiatives. So that's the thing that's the most impressive about the work that I'm doing is we do belong to the same regulations. So we don't want to compete, and we have heard from the public that, you can leave from Ottawa and go through Calgary and get to Vancouver, and every airport has a different accessibility program or a different program, and that's frustrating to the public. So we have aligned. We meet once a month virtually. We spend 60 minutes talking about accessibility and what we're all working on. But what's really neat is that you're going to start to see a lot of the same programs and the same initiatives, and that's where we're going to get that national consistency. So I think it's really promising what the aviation industry in Canada is trying to do for accessibility.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Julie. This is all great information.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us and shedding light on the great work happening at the Winnipeg Airport. It's exciting to hear about these changes and the impact that they're having. Hopefully other terminals, travel hubs can take note of these. That was Julie Capko from the Winnipeg Airport Authority with an encouraging conversation on airport accessibility improvement.
Man, and both of you have had such great travel experience. Nazreen, you've been out there quite a bit. Brock, you yourself have had some. What as we talked to her, did it dawn on you that yourself, Brock, that means so much to you as a person who has some extra needs and moving and traveling, and it's not just a simple, oh, I'm going to go here today, I'll just book a ticket?
Nazreen took gentle shots at Pearson International, and I respect
Yeah.
It was all in the giggle.
Yeah,
It was all in the kind of shrugged shoulders.
Yeah.
which I totally respect. But the thing that really jumped out to me was what she said there towards the end, is that all airports are aligning, because she's absolutely correct when you say you can go to one airport and things will be one way and another one where things will be another. I mean, it's been noted on this program when I did the marketplace situation, and I went to Fredericton Airport. They didn't have a lift for me to be transferred, and so we went there to try to shed some light on that. And so for airports not to be aligned in that sense is really baffling. So the step is being taken in the right direction, and I think with them aligning and having a 60-minute once a month, it's got to go in the right direction. They've got a lot of work to do, but a step in the right direction is better than where we've been.
So the exposure that we give, I think, is really positive. I think people are starting to learn to take these things in and we understand Rome wasn't built in a day, as the old saying is, and we're not going to solve all issues for every single person, because disability is very individual. Mike Feir, I'm sure in the travels you've made as you join us on the program, you would probably echo those words, even from what you've heard through your social circles.
Absolutely. Last time I actually flew was right after that big flood in '97 that hit Winnipeg, and we went out there. So my memories of airports are in that haze of past. But yeah, like I'm very happy to hear that if I do ever need to fly again, that this sounds like it'll be a much better experience in terms of that.
I think technology is, when you ask that, I think that's what really excites them. The things they could do, the little things that so many of us, we figure we're the only ones that know about this because Stephen and Sean talk about it, or we talk about this. Mike brings it forward when it comes to app, his discussion with apps, Michael Babcock. But when you hear about the loops, the sound, and how to guide people in or help us zero in on something, and these people are talking about it, it's become commonplace. Main place, and will even grow.
It does, exactly. There's endless possibilities when it comes to technology, as we know, and it just keeps progressing. It keeps expanding, and I love it. I honestly love it, and I know a lot of people can relate. Yeah, like I said, there's some disadvantages to it, of course, but we're going up. We're not taking steps back. And that makes me happy. And like Julie and Brock said, that making things inclusive and being accessible doesn't stop at one end. Okay, it keeps progressing. You always want to keep learning from passengers or people all around you to accommodate, not just accommodate for people with disabilities, but everyone. Like, for example, she brought up the PA announcements.
Yes.
Nobody can hear that. Okay, no one can hear that.
No,
I'm just hearing.
We all wish it was chimed right into our collar, into our ear, to something, or our phone, anything.
Exactly. So there's so many improvements that just it never stops. You're always going to look for something to improve, and I love that they're looking at that and they're opening their they're being open-minded about such things. So that's great.
And just simply the acknowledgement that it's not going to just stop at when we're fixed. Like, you're constantly asking yourself, what did they say? And what did those people say? And it's awful. So they need to rest and acknowledge.
I'm just going to follow the crowd if people get up.
Acknowledgement is the first step. So that's...
Niz, thanks a lot. Really good. Nizreen will be back with us on the program on Monday. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Niz will talk to you out there as well. Always happy to interact with you and engage. You can do that at Kelly & Co. AMI. If you have a smartphone, our world of entertainment is in the palm of your hand. Michael Feir wrote a book on how to make the most of your iPhone from a totally blind perspective. This week, he explains what kind of entertainment can be found through your smartphone. Mike, why is it so important that people who are new to smartphones use them for entertainment?
I think really it comes down to what I say about games. Like, we learn best when we're so busy enjoying ourselves that we don't realize as it's happening. Like, I got, would do homework on the weekends because I had to when I got my first computer, and that slowly improved my skills. But the teacher gave me a disc of games, and that's why that taught me how to type 90 words a minute. That I will go at my homework if I have to, but I will spend a weekend trying to solve a murder mystery or something like that, right? So if you find things you really enjoy, not just have to do, but really enjoy doing, you'll be thinking about doing that, and the learning will just happen more on an unconscious level, and it lowers, it gets rid of intimidation. It gets rid of so much of that hesitancy. Oh God, I have to learn this brand new thing, and it's so alien to how I've done things before. If there's a game, or if there's something that you really want to do, and will enjoy doing, that makes all the difference.
I learned how to type on the electric ones that had no speech, nothing, ladies and gentlemen. The old manual typewriters. Then I got an Apple IIe computer when I was a kid. And as Mike mentioned, Brock, the gaming really helped me because I started to play. I, of course, knew the keyboard really well from typing, but it brought that speed and reaction up, which wasn't even something I thought about because I was so new to it.
And when you're doing it in a game sense, you're not even realizing that you're upping your skills in that speed and reaction, because when you're doing something of urgency and you're like, oh, I just want to get this done because I want to send this or that speed and reaction in a game can develop so quickly because you can spend hours and hours in it. You're enjoying yourself versus frustrating yourself and knocking your head against the wall.
100%. Mike, what kind of entertainment are we looking at?
Well, with the iPhone, it has been such a liberation, probably the most liberating thing I've ever owned. So, I mean, you can have, there's internet radio. I have sections in my book about internet radio and podcasts. I do mention this show and AMI in this, and the app, of course. So people will get a bit about how to engage with that. Podcasts are a big one, right? And your iPhone, there's lots of great apps to access those. Accessible games, I have a very big section on games, something like probably close to 40,000 words or more, all about games. So, and this is stuff that I never thought would be accessible. So there's lots of mobile games out there that are very accessible for blind people. There's things like books, like just the sheer liberation of reading what you want to read when you want to read it, not, when someone decides to make it accessible, but now when your friends are talking about it, well, it's still cool. You can buy a book at the same price, right, as everyone else and read it. Streaming, right? Streaming services. We used to have to watch things, and if we needed audio description and some sighted person just found it, drove them nuts. One of you had to win, one of you had to lose, right? Now you can take a smartphone and you can listen to that using the Netflix app, using the TV app and different apps, streaming services, Prime, and chances are the program is going to be described. Some are better at it than others. Some streaming services offer more, but you will be able to hear it in your own earbuds privately and follow along, and everyone else can enjoy it the way they want to without the description, and there's no friction necessary, and you can talk about the same thing, the same shows as everyone else that you've been able to enjoy and they've been able to enjoy at the same time. So there's lots of that. There's physical entertainment. I mean, you can use apps like Eventbrite and Ticketmaster to buy concert tickets, get to venues. Use a GPS app to help you get there. There are apps to help you navigate indoors. The fact that you have a phone means you can call for help. You can ask for help if you need it more easily. If you ever get stuck in a situation. Apps like Be My Eyes. I mean, they can help in various ways. So there's all sorts of branches of entertainment that you can tap into with your iPhone or with another smartphone that is so much more accessible. A lot of times it's stuff that you could have done before, but you would have needed a computer, you would have needed other devices, you would have needed help with sighted people around you to help you do. And this does a lot. There's something, of course, it's not perfect. You're going to run into situations where you, especially with physical events, but it really does open a lot of doors in terms of that. And of course, online events. I attended the Word on the Street festival a few years back during the pandemic when they had it online. And that was awesome. They had great speakers, great discussion happening. It was a really well done event.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Mike Feir joining us on the program. You can find the third edition of Michael Feir's book, Personal Power, and obtain it free of charge from his blog. Michael Feir appears regularly right here on Kelly and Company to discuss entertainment. Brock Richardson, remember him. Catch him on The Neutral Zone. Find our show, our podcast, from your podcast platform of choice. Also subscribe to us on YouTube. Give us a rating and review. On our next program, ready for some hacks to make your favorite go-to meals even healthier? With some minor tweaks, nutritionist Julie Capko is here with her suggestions, and stick around for tech tips with Michael Babcock. I'm waving at you now. Get out of here, will ya?
Thanks for tuning in to Kelly and Company. Follow us on all social media, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.